Welcome back to the latest edition of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Elyachar, the chief content producer and writer of jakestake.com, a pop culture and entertainment news website. There are no words to describe how thrilled and excited I am to welcome one of my all-time favorite songwriters to this podcast. He has amassed over 80 Billboard Top 40 hits throughout his career. He's a Grammy-winning producer and an Emmy nominee. He's also a Songwriters Hall of Fame inductee, and his songs were recorded by the likes of Aerosmith, Bon Jovi, Christina Aguilera, Cher, Clay Aiken, Darlene Love, Garth Brooks, Joan Jett, Katy Perry, Kiss, Leanne Rimes, and Zed. Please help me welcome the fantastic Desmond Child.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. It is an honor and privilege to talk with you.
Aw, I'm glad I don't have to wear a mask for this. Because we're
Me too.
like the Skype is like proper social distancing, right?
Absolutely, it is. So it is a privilege because I've been listening to your music since I was a kid in elementary school in Overland Park, Kansas.
Wow. Well, I just had a hit with Ava Max called Kings and Queens, and that officially made it my 6th decade of #1 hits.
Congratulations. We'll get to Kings and Queens in a minute, but I want to say congratulations on that milestone. And not only that, you're currently celebrating 46 years in the recording industry. And in your humble opinion,
It's more than that. More than 46.
more than that?
Yes, because I was already recording and everything as a teenager in the 60s. So I don't know where you got 46 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I have underwear that's older than 46 years.
I apologize about that. So in your humble opinion, how has the music industry evolved?
Well, of course, technologically, it kind of went into hyperspeed. And then, but as human beings, we still stay the same. And then technology is like rushing ahead. So in the past, you'd be able to hear a song on the radio and hear it a few times and let it sink in, and then it becomes a hit because repeated listening is part of that. But when you live in a world where there are 25,000 singles released every day or something around the world, I mean, where's the repeated listening? You'd have to know about something, and so it's a kind of different world, and it's kind of egalitarian because you could write a song in the morning and release it that night to the whole entire world. Before, we'd have a song recorded and wait 2 years for it to come out. So it's the speed of how it goes out, but still it still takes repeated listening for a human being to absorb a song. So that's something that's missing with this kind of fast consumption of music.
I totally agree with you because I still go back and listen to songs that I had growing up listening to it, and I still feel more connected to some of the music than that kind of music and the music that's out in the charts today.
Yeah, I mean, when we're young, the music of our time, represents our youth, it represents who we are, it's our identity. And we are transported back to that moment when we heard a song for the first time, every time we hear it. And all the subsequent times that we brought out that song because it meant something to us. And that's the kind of music that stands the test of time. But it's the beauty of it. And also when new music comes in that we don't understand, we got to remember that new generations are hearing things a different way, and that's the music of their time, and it's okay.
Totally agree with that 100%. I there are several of your songs are part of my playlist of my life, and I would love to talk with you about them.
Okay, talk to
All
me.
right, all righty. I got to start with Aerosmith and "Dude Looks Like a Lady" because the first time I heard that song, it was at a skit at my summer camp in Overland Park, Kansas.
Oh, wow. What do you want to know about it?
It is probably what was it like working with Steven Tyler and Joe Perry on that song?
Well, it was the very first day I met them, and they had already started the track, and they had a melody, but they were singing "Cruising for the Ladies." And so I walked in the first time I'm meeting them, and they said, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And I said, "I think that's really bad, Cruising for the Ladies." I said, "That's so boring." I said, I don't think Van Halen would put it on the B side of their worst record. And they like looked at me like with these wide eyes, and then Steven sheepishly said, "Well, when I first came up with that hook, I was singing 'Dude Looks Like a Lady,'" and I said, "What? 'Dude Looks Like a Lady'?" I said, "That's a hit title. Let's write that song." And then Joe said, "Well, but I don't know what that means." And I said, "Don't worry about it. I'm gay. I know what that means." And so we went through this whole scenario of, a regular guy just walking into a bar and falls in love with the stripper on stage and goes backstage and finds out that she is a he. But the thing, instead of running out of there like completely shocked, he stays. And so it says, "Never judge a book by its cover, or who you gonna love by your lover." And so we were like way ahead of like the GLBT, kind of gender, kind of acceptance thing with that song. And everybody loved the song. But, it's like they even put it in Mrs. Doubtfire with the broom dance. And so like every little kid in the world could, sang, "Never judge a book by its cover." It had a beautiful message. And so I remember we were building our house, and one of the workers, I live in Tennessee, said, "You wrote that Aerosmith song, and I'm like, yeah. And he said, "Do a naked lady." And I said, "What? Do a naked lady?" I said, "Oh, it's 'Dude Looks Like a Lady.'" And he looked at me with this kind of cross face, like, "What?" And it's like he made it into whatever was going on in his head. He like turned the words around so that, he could feel good about it. And so I think that's really funny, because the fact is that when we hear a song, we relate to it because it tells a story that we can relate to. But we feel it like it's telling our story, because the images in our head when the story's going by, we see ourselves in the middle of that movie. It's us that's singing, Angel or whatever it is, it's like that's us. And that's why music is so wonderful, because we can inhabit the song and the song can inhabit us.
And one of my my favorite bands that does that is Bon Jovi. And you wrote a lot of classics for that band. Co-wrote
with that band.
Mhm.
Yeah, we co-wrote everything together.
One of my very first favorite memories from my concert that I went to after I graduated high school was Bon Jovi's 2007 tour and 20 tour when he went to Kansas City. It was me and my brother, our first concert together without our folks. And we were jumping up and down when it was "Born to Be My Baby," "Living on a Prayer," "You Give Love a Bad Name," and "Keep the Faith." Those four Bon Jovi tracks are very key to me and are my all-time favorites.
They are mine as well, because I'm part of the creation process on those songs. Yeah, those are quintessential Bon Jovi. They really speak to the average person, the working class of this country. And That's why his archetype is, working class hero, and it works. It works for him because he's sincere about what he's singing.
I totally agree with you. Another artist that I really love your partnership with is Joan Jett. And with I Hate Myself for Loving You, one of probably one of the biggest rock hits ever.
Well, you know that song is the theme to Sunday Night Football.
With Carrie Underwood's.
Even the second verse is the same also. Hey, Jack, it's a fact they're talking in town. So they used what they could, and then I helped rewrite it as well for it to fit for the football thing. And so that's the thing about that song. It was the first time I met her, and we wrote that song on the very first time we met.
That's incredible, and this song still stands as one of the most loved, and a lot of your songs stand the test of time.
Well, it's the combination of the fact that I'm writing to specifically with the artist for, with stories and feelings that come out of their soul and mine. But that's why, they're real and people feel something that's real. And with I Hate Myself for Loving You, it's funny because when we wrote it, she had sung a cover of a song called I Love Rock and Roll. And so she says, well, I can't sing another song that has the word love in it. And I said, no, you have to. I hate myself for loving you. It's not love, it's loving. And she was like, yeah. So anyway, from the minute we started singing it together, just like she was playing guitar and I was on piano, I think a little bit. And it just came to life. And it's been a magical song for her. So I love it.
And another song I really love that you guys have wrote was for Darlene Love, Little Liar. It's one of my favorite tracks from introducing Darlene Love.
Oh, Darlene Love sang Little Liar?
Yeah.
No, we wrote it for Joan. And then
really?
Maybe Darlene Love covered it, but I haven't heard Darlene's cover of it.
It is one of my favorite renditions of her song. It's
Darlene Love, Little Liar. Wow. But that was on the same record with I Hate Myself for Loving You.
Really? I did not know that. It's amazing because I worked at Barnes & Noble as well. And and I actually worked with the music department. And I always listening to Introducing Darlene Love is one of my favorite records of that time. And that song I want to repeat so much.
Darlene is a good friend of mine. I wonder why she didn't tell me, but maybe she didn't even look at the writing credits. But she sung on a lot of records I've made, especially a song by Cher called Perfection. And she's one of the voices in the front. It's Bonnie Tyler and Darlene Love, and there was someone else, and then Cher comes in, and they're all singing about. It's a song I co-wrote with Diane Warren for Cher, and Darlene Love is featured in it. So you see, all roads lead to Darlene Love or Cher.
Absolutely. And speaking of idols, you were in some of the key moments of some of the Idol days, like the early Idol years for Fox. Invisible, Clay Aiken's first 2003 hit. It was a part of my high school. Definitely, yeah. I definitely felt like a freshman when I was listening to that.
I'm in touch with Clay a lot, and he's a wonderful, wonderful man. And it was great working with him. And I think the song really fit his character because he was so shy, at the beginning. He was very, very shy. And so it's like, if I were invisible, I could, watch you in your room. It's a little bit, what is it, like?
Stalkerish?
Stalkerish. I could watch you in your room, and it's like, what? But it was kind of sexy for him without him actually, having contact, because, a lot of songs are like, oh yeah, when you're in my arms and all this kind of stuff and sexy stuff. But that was like kind of sexy in a kind of like very safe way. So, that song worked. It totally was right for his character. And he sang it great.
Another song that was sang great was Diana DeGarmo's Dreams. But however, when it was shown on American Idol during the finals of season 3, Fantasia stole it. And I really wish that she recorded that cover of that song.
She did record it. I have Fantasia's version in the can. It was never released. And it's incredible. It sounds fantastic. But she did it on the TV show, right?
Yes, she did. It's one of my all-time favorite moments.
I have the actual, she came to the studio and sang it. But then they gave the song to Diana, kind of because I think, what was the song that Fantasia sang? God Bless the Child?
It was the one, yes. And then also she won American Idol with I Believe.
Right, I Believe. Yeah.
I think I agree with that. We were talking about Fantasia, and I really wish that thing comes to light, because that song, when she sang that live, gave me chills.
Wow, I'm gonna have to send it to you.
Thank you.
It's so good.
I really appreciate it. It's still one of my favorite Idol moments. Everyone says Summertime is her moment, but that was when she sang Dreams. That was her true Star is Born moment.
I know. Why didn't they let that be her song? I Believe was great too, But, Diana had to sing something. So.
I totally agree with you on that. It's amazing that you were part of so many starts, like not just with Fantasia, with Clay and Diana, but also people like Ricky Martin and with Katy Perry too, because Katy Perry's 4th single was Waking Up in Vegas.
That's right. She was, I think, between record deals, and she came over and we were writing our first song with her is kind of Alanis Morissette angry kind of song called My Last Cry. And then we took a break to have a little snack, and she was so much fun and full of life and irreverent, like the ultimate fag hag. And I said, why are we writing a song that's not like how you are? And she listened to me, and we went back and wrote Waking Up in Vegas. Because I imagined her and Faraz, heading into Vegas and blaming each other for everything. And, it's so much fun, that song.
Another song that's fun is your collaboration with Zedd and Jon Bellion, Beautiful Now.
The way that happened is I write with Antonina Armato and Tim James of Rock Mafia, and we started that song, and they took it to Zedd, and Zedd brought Jon Bellion in on it. So it was a beautiful collaboration, and so I love that song. So it's like I've pretty much written in every genre except for polka.
Polka?
Polka. I haven't done polka music.
Maybe Weird Al would put some of your would do Desmond Child medley.
Yeah. I want to just continue evolving, and I'm working on things that sound very contemporary, that have a lot of urban elements, because time doesn't stand still. So I'm not just writing in one style, I'm always growing.
And speaking of growing, congratulations on Kings and Queens, because I was looking at your Twitter and said that officially it was another number one.
Another number one, Kings and Queens. And that song was kind of like it's like a tale of 3 hits, because the original song that I solely wrote was called If You Were a Woman and I Was a Man, sung by Bonnie Tyler. And you got to listen to that. And then later on, when I met Bon Jovi, I was kind of not happy that that other song, If You're a Woman and I Was a Man, didn't become a big hit. So I pulled out that melody and stuff, and so it kind of worked its way into You Give Love a Bad Name, and then now Kings and Queens is more like the original, like If You're a Woman, I Was a Man. So it's a tale of three hits.
Wow.
So you have to hear them all back to back.
Guys, we have a new listening challenge for 2021.
And Bonnie Tyler is one of my favorite artists to work for. I mean, I was the first one to find a song called Simply the Best, you know, better than all the rest. And I recorded with her, but the record company told me we didn't have any hits. And 2 years later, Tina Turner cuts it and makes it the biggest song in the world. And it's like, to me, it all sounds the same, you know? But it's just like who knows what politics were going on at the record label at that time, where they were, you know, pushing one artist and not another, and they were kind of pushing her off to the side. And, you know, she hasn't had good luck with that, you know?
I started to become a fan of Bonnie Tyler recently when I discovered on YouTube, thank God for YouTube, because I actually discovered her singing Tire Tracks and Broken Hearts on an Andrew Lloyd Webber celebration from Whistle in the Wind.
Wow. She's one of the greatest people, and I love her scratchy voice and how she laughs, you know, this kind of, she's Welsh. And so she has an accent that's really very unique. So I enjoy working with her.
Awesome. And speaking of singer-songwriters, who are your favorites? And if you can name any, why does their material stand out to you?
Well, my first big inspiration, of course, was my mother. She wrote Cuban bolero style and poetry. Her name was Elena Casals. And you know, she's, you know, like one of the biggest influence. And then later on, I heard the music of Laura Nyro. And Laura Nyro, you know, I heard her when I was 14 years old, and I said, okay, that's what I want to do when I grow up. Sing like that and play piano and songs like that. And then I listened to Joni Mitchell. And then again, that's, you know, the whole idea of storytelling and you know, emotional music, that's very much in me. So those are my two biggest influences.
Awesome. I gotta say, I was so happy when the Songwriters Hall of Fame inducted you into that organization. So what did that induction mean to you? And as a member, how has the Songwriters Hall of Fame grown?
Well, I mean, I think we're past the 50th year. That was a few years ago. And, you know, I had been nominated twice before and didn't make it. So then I waited a long time, and then finally on the third try, I got in. And that was in 2008. And after that, I became one of the members of the Songwriters Hall of Fame Board of Directors. And then I went on and I'm still there and continue working with ASCAP as well. I'm on the board of directors of ASCAP. And, you know, the idea of honoring songwriters, because, you know, my mother was a songwriter, and I saw how she struggled to get, you know, make ends meet and to write songs and all that after she'd worked all day long, you know, at some menial job. You know, I just felt like, you know, songwriters have to be able to make a living out of this, to be working songwriters. So I'm very involved with helping to stand up for songwriters and raise our rates, because they really sank with streaming. I mean, it's, you know, we're making a fraction of its real worth. I mean, when ASCAP first started, you could buy sheet music. It was 2 cents. Sheet music, 2 cents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you download a song and it's like point something. Like, it's not even a cent. You know, It's like, so how could music be worth less than it was 100 years ago? So something is wrong. And so that's why I'm very much involved with the honoring our copyrights and paying us for what we do. Otherwise, only hobbyists will make music, and then they won't get really good at it unless somebody pays them to be able to do it, because then they have to work other jobs, and then they get to the music. It's the 10,000 outlier. What is it? The outliers.
The 10,000 hour thing, I believe.
Yeah, but the outliers are the people that are lying out there. I don't know. Maybe I have the word wrong, but you have to put 10,000 hours into anything to get good at it. So how does a person find time? I've been lucky because I made it early, and in my career right out of college. But many people, they didn't have the luck I did, and so they couldn't make their life all about music. And so, now, of course, it's much easier to make music and be self-sufficient. I always recommend that people really learn how to program, learn Pro Tools, learn instruments, learn how to sing, learn how to write lyrics. Be as self-sufficient as possible. There's nothing worse than starting a song with somebody and then their schedule gets so busy they don't come back to finish it. So it's better if you're as self-sufficient as possible. And then there's a chance. And, like I said, you can make your own record label and start putting out songs and make cute little videos to go with them and put them on Snapchat and this and that. And suddenly you're a star that you created yourself. And I think that's the egalitarian thing that I love about these times. But on the other hand, if you're serious, seriously, it takes touring, and that's been very, kind of down now because of the COVID, but in a few years it'll be back, because it takes touring to connect with audiences, and it inspires you to write different kinds of songs, not just the ones that you did in your bedroom. But it costs so much money to tour that unless a record company's behind you, and it has to be profitable for them too. So it's like if it's all on streaming and nobody's making money from selling records, then there's no money for touring. I think the world is less for it. There's nothing as exciting as going to a concert like you were talking about, going to a Bon Jovi concert. And, they always play Livin' on a Prayer at the very end. That's the last song they play. And this way, it's 11:30 at night, it's 11:45. They haven't played it yet. No one's leaving that stadium. No one is leaving until they hear that song. They could have kids asleep, with their little, ear guards, on their shoulders, and they're standing there waiting for that song. When that song comes on, you can't even hear the band playing it. They're screaming it so loud. Literally, it's like I can't even hear. I hear like a soft rumble in the distance, because it's like a roar that's so exciting, and it's unifying. And, that's the beauty of going to a Bon Jovi concert. It's like there's people from all walks of life, of, every kind of political party, race, sexual orientation, gender identity. You'll see like people with white hair and, towheads with white hair, or, corn braids or this, every kind of person is there. 4 generations can be at a Bon Jovi concert, and they all love the same songs. Isn't that great?
It is. And the thing about this whole pandemic, I miss the concerts. I miss going to concerts. I saw Elton John in 2018 when he was at Madison Square Garden. It's still one of my all-time favorite concerts I've ever been to. Seeing Darlene Love rock out BB King's before it closed. Those are memories I will take with me.
BB King's. Wow. Did that close?
It did.
When?
I believe 2018 or 2019.
Aw. Hmm. Did they turn it into another club?
I am honestly not sure, Desmond. I'm honestly not sure.
That's the thing. People have to go and to see shows, even in little clubs, because that helps the music keep rolling, and evolving, and it enriches our lives.
I totally agree with you. I know in addition to all your songs, you have a couple book projects coming up that I want to talk to you about.
Yes. Shall I talk about it?
Go ahead. The floor is yours.
I've after 4.5 years, I've finalized my book called Desmond Child, Livin On a Prayer, Big Songs, Big Life, with my co-writer David Ritz. And I've been trying to find the right publisher to put it out. I might just put it out myself, like on Amazon and stuff, but there's still a couple of bites out there, but it's coming out this year no matter what. And I've also co-written another book, which is called Desmond Child, Anatomy of a Hit, Masterclass in Songwriting, and with Jody Marr. And she's a Belmont professor of songwriting, but she's also a very successful producer, songwriter. She wrote Grace Kelly with Mika and produced that. I mean, she's incredible, and I've known her for forever. And so we've been writing what will be a textbook on songwriting. It doesn't exist. There are a lot of biographies, like my other book, where I can talk about the creative process, but I'm also talking about how, my heart got broken by somebody or something. It's like, no, nothing personal. This is all just about songwriting. So I'm working on that as well. And, there's a saying they said that Picasso wrote poetry. And, a lot of it. And somebody was looking, at the poetry and say, why do you bother? You're like the greatest, painter of all time. And he said, a true artist has to travel to different shores. And that's what I'm doing. I'm never bored. I'm always working on a project, come up with some new idea, and whether it's a Broadway musical or a television series or, the books. And because, also it got so hard because of the streaming to make a living at just songwriting. It was kind of like, I have to think of other things to do because, it's just, that's the creator, the artist in me is always looking to do something creative, no matter what form it takes.
I'm very excited to read those books. I'm very excited to see what you have. And I hopefully you come back on to talk about those projects in depth. Yes. We got to wrap this current conversation. So you talked about social media. So what are some of your favorite social media outlets? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, and why do they stand out?
Well, I'm on, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. But the one I'm like obsessed with is Instagram because, I can be constantly posting and answering my fans and all that. I kind of have never figured out Facebook. My husband's on Facebook day and night. So whatever I put on Instagram goes on Facebook and Twitter, because Amy Sapp, she's my social media consultant, she takes care of that. But if somebody wants to find me, you can find me at Desmond.child. And also, I've been working with my original group, Desmond Child and Rouge, and we've been putting out, we put out our original albums remastered and a new version of our single, Our Love Is Insane, XX. And then we have a new website, DesmondChildandRouge.com, and we have on Instagram also, at Desmond Child and Rouge. And it's fun because it's like going in a time machine. There's no pictures of us like today or anything. You go to those sites and you're in 1979. Our bios don't go past 1979. Everything about it, and we're gorgeous then. And, you know, it's so much fun, and we're putting out fun stuff, and we just got started with it, so we don't have like ginormous followers. Like I've been working on Instagram for like 3 years, and I'm up to 230,000 followers. You know, that's not easy, but I have to constantly be like interacting to keep my followers interested in me.
You'll get a new follower after this, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, and follow Desmond Child and Rouge too, because we just put out one that's so cute about when we signed our first management contract, and you know, it's like. But if you scroll through, we have all these animated things. We're working with my cousins in Sicily who are Venezuelan exiles there, and they do all this animation and everything. And so we keep it fun and interesting.
Awesome. So before we rewind down, a lot of my listeners are music fans, and some of them have said they want to go into songwriting and producing. So if you had a chance to meet with aspiring songwriters, producers who want to advance their career in the recording industry, what advice would you share with them?
Well, to get as self-sufficient as possible, really learn guitar and keyboards, learn how to program your own drums and sound effects and all of that, all these libraries of sound. Learn how to write lyrics. Study the lyrics of Bob Dylan, Joni Mitchell, Laura Nyro. Study Elton John and you know,
Bernie Taupin.
Bernie Taupin. I mean, Bernie Taupin's lyrics are incredible, and so learn why they are, and start telling your own life in the songs, and also make a decision to be an artist. You know, and one of the things I say, because I do a lot of master classes and all of that, and motivational speaker things, it's like I didn't have a B plan. I really didn't. And so I keep saying to people, it's like, if you have a B plan, do the B plan. Do the B plan, because this is really, really hard. You know, and you have to, and not everybody makes it. And sometimes even you can make it, have a big hit, and then 3 years later be cold. Nobody wants you. You know, they'll have some excuse, or the new person is better, or something. And then you have to reinvent yourself over and over and over again, like Diane Warren, who doesn't give up. And now she's on her 11th. She had 11 Oscar nominations, and she's getting ready, hopefully, for the 12th Oscar nomination. This time, I hope she makes it with Charlie Puth, a song called "Free."
I totally agree, Diane Warren. Besides you, there are, of all my favorite songwriters, there's you, there's Max Martin, Diane Warren. That's a trifecta.
Yeah, you don't need any more music, just that. No, honestly, you know, one of the things that happens is, first of all, to be seriously into music, you have to live in a music town. So that's, you know, LA for pop music. And, you know, Nashville is getting more and more pop people moving here. I've been here for a long time, but I mean, it's very rich with music here. Gospel, contemporary Christian, country music. There are rock bands and cool bands like Black Keys, and there's a lot of people here. You have to live in a music town. You have to get to know everybody. You have to work, pay your dues, you know, show up to everything. You can't be lazy. You can't just be home watching The Last Kingdom. You have to be out at the clubs. You know, I love The Last Kingdom, by the way. That's like my favorite. And so that's my advice. It's like, you have to make a decision inside yourself. It's like, whether you make it or not, we got each other, and that's a lot for love. We'll give it a shot.
Oh, we're halfway there.
But make a decision. make a decision to be an artist, and then you have to be always in touch with your heart. You can't think this through. But with your mind, you can get skills. And you know, they always say that 99% of it is having drive, is your ambition. If you have 1% talent and 99% ambition, you're going to get huge. You know, because it's like wake up in the morning and get right on it, and work really late and sleep a little less, and get up and forget about weekends, forget about holidays, forget about normal things people do. This is a vocation, like, you know, it's serious. So I don't think that people really understand that. You know, they think they can just kind of like write a song here, write a song there. I mean, I've written over 4,000 songs.
That number is just wow.
Lifetime. And I started writing songs when I was, 12, 13 years old. And that was a long time ago. And so what I'm telling you is that, sometimes kids come from colleges and they're interns here and say, how many songs have you written? Oh, well, that I've actually finished, maybe 4 or 5. And I go, you got a lot of songs to write before you're me. And, but look at this math. I've written 4,000 songs, maybe more. Of those, maybe 1,500 have been recorded. Of those, 80 got into the top 40. Of those, maybe 20 got into the top 20 or top 10. Of those, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 were number ones. Maybe it's more. Maybe it's like 10, because they're number ones all over the world and stuff too. So took 4,000 songs to have 10 number ones over the course of, 50 something years. So think of how much work that is.
That is a lot of work.
So you got to work. Got to work, girl. Got to work.
You got it, Desmond. You got it. And guys, for those of you who want to check out more episodes of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar podcast, head to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Spreaker. Just type in Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar, JAKES, Take, and then Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. You can also check me out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. Desmond, this is my 10th anniversary doing podcasting, doing reporting, and it all started with a blog, jakes-take.com. And you can find music reviews and everything.
Happy anniversary. Keep doing this, because you're connecting the dots. You're bringing music to the people, and that is a very important thing to do. So I thank you.
And it's been a true honor to talk with you. Thank you so much for all the joy that you brought me, and for all my listeners for all these years. And I look forward to talking to you in the future. Okay.
Can I just suggest one thing I forgot to say? I worked with Barbra Streisand last year, and we did a music video of the song. We did one like a couple months ago of the song Lady Liberty. Go to the Lady Liberty lyric video of Barbra Streisand. It's incredible. So I'm just suggesting it.
All righty. We'll check that out. Desmond, thank you so much. And guys, thank you so much for listening. Have a great one. Goodbye.
Bye.